What if you didn't have to worry about things like, how am I going to afford food, or how will I ever be able to pay this month's rent? For some of us, living hand to mouth is a sad reality. But it doesn't have to be. Universal basic income, or just basic income, could significantly help solve the issues of poverty and help the lower class. So, first, what is basic income? Basic income is really similar to Social Security. It is a basic universal income, as in it's flat, everyone gets the same amount. And when I say everyone, I mean literally everyone in the state. Anyone with a Social Security number would get this amount of money. So from birth to death, no matter how young or old you are, you would get this money. And no matter your social status, you would get this money. You would get it if you're as rich as Bill Gates or as poor as a hobo. Everyone would get a check at the end of the month that would have their basic minimum amount of money covered that they need to live. This amount of money would be calculated to be just enough to cover, enough to rent a small house or rent an apartment somewhere and cover all their food needs. It would basically be the right to live in America cost free. Now, what's important to remember is this would replace every other welfare program. This would be the only necessary one. So, what's it going to cost? According to an October 2013 article written by The Atlantic for Matt Bruning and Elizabeth Stroker, a basic income program would cost roughly $908 billion a year, assuming we give everybody $3,000 per person per month. That's all set, So how are we going to pay for that? According to an April 2012 study by Michael Tanner at the Cato Institute, we already pay $668 billion per year on other welfare programs. And that's roughly 2/3 of the total cost, that $908 billion I mentioned on the last slide. So we could make up the other 1/3 of this by raising taxes, especially for the rich, and trimming the military budget, which is $700 billion. So the money's there, and we can do this. It's not infeasible. So now that we know we can afford it, what are some of the benefits of basic income? First, we have the Mincome test, which was actually, this is proven that it works, and I'll go into some of the benefits of what came out of this. It took place in Dauphine, Manitoba, Canada, which is just kind of a small city, small province in Canada, or in the province of Manitoba, from 1974 to 1975, so just a 5-year period. And some of the results of Mincome were labor hours decreased by 3%. So people had more time to be picky with their jobs, or slightly more leisure time, or more time to spend with their family. So overall, they should have been happier. Hospital visits actually dropped by 8.5%. And what makes up that number is work-related injuries decreased by a lot. And domestic violence actually decreased because people were less stressed out. The graduation rate at the local high school and colleges nearby increased and maintained the rate for an entire generation. So even after the test was over, it still worked out. And secondary adult education increased. So people had more time to go out and take extra classes in order to bolster their resume and do really what they wanted with their life. So, and this information was all according to the findings from this study, which were published in a 1994 paper by the Ministry of Human Resources Department in Canada. So there's some other possible benefits too. Obviously, there's a reduction of homelessness in America, which that's pretty big. You wouldn't have people just left by their country to live on the streets. You'd have a less stressful working and living environment, and that says a lot. I mean, wouldn't it be nice to just have a less stressful environment or wouldn't it be nice to just have a less stressful environment yourself? You wouldn't have to worry about how you're going to afford to live. And people would be able to pursue jobs that actually make them happy, which means that maybe people would do better at their jobs, or in the case of artists and things like that, they'd be able to, in times of little work, they wouldn't have to go and get a job in retail or in some other field. They'd be able to really pursue what they want to do rather than something else. So maybe, like I said, the artists would cause some kind of a cultural boom, and maybe we could have a second renaissance if this sort of thing became adopted on a more global scale. So, what can you do to take action for basic income? All right, so there was a demonstration in 2012 in Switzerland where activists dumped 1 million coins in front of the parliament building, one for each person who lives in Switzerland, and they were all dollar coins. And this has brought to the attention that they really would like to have this be voted about, or this be voted on. And in sometime in 2015 or 2016, whenever their parliament gets to it, they're going to be voting on if they would like to implement basic income. So what that means is that it's going to be a talking point soon, which means that maybe during the 2016 election, it could be talked about. There might be some people or some candidates that really use it as a talking point for their platform. And if that's the case, please do support these people and go to political rallies or whatnot. Tell people about basic income and how you think it would be a good idea. Tell everyone you know about basic income if it comes up. So, and make sure to vote for it, because in conclusion, your voice can be heard and your votes do mean a lot. And remember, voting for basic income and talking about basic income is voting for a more fulfilling job market, a vote to improve poverty rates, a vote for a proven system that will sustain our country for the future. And don't let your fellow man fall into the poverty trap. Universal basic income is the solution we need. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your senators. Make your voices heard that this is a solution we want and need. And here are my citations. Thank you very much.